Okay, you're live now. Okay. Yeah. Does anybody like to share anything?
Yes, Prabhuji. From the retreat, I would like to share a few points. I'm going to share this verse. We discussed this verse from Kunti Devi. Tvai me ananya vishaya mater madhupate sakrad ratim udvatad adha gange vagamudanvati. O Lord of Madhu, as the Ganges forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn onto you without being diverted to anyone else. So Maharaj was saying that Kunti remembered her 3 lives. As a child of Kunti Bhoj, she was sent to another king. She was adopted by another king, and then she married Pandu, and she witnessed his dramatic departure. And then she was bringing up her sons, and she saw her sons going through so many miseries that Kauravas were inflicting upon them. And then Arjuna had to face her son, her son Karna in the battle, and she knew one of her sons would die, and she saw Karna's head severed in the battle. So Kunti understood that all the relations of this world will become a source of trouble. So the only relationship that cannot change, even through changing circumstances, is our relationship with Krishna. So she's saying, let my affection flow to Krishna always, like Ganges pushes all the obstacles out of the way to meet her husband, Ocean. So the devotee prays, I only want to go to Krishna. So then we talked about the 3 types of devotees: conventional devotee, committed devotee, and confidential devotee. So this conventional devotee is focused on their identity and the social position and the externals of what they are doing. Um, in the company of the devotees, they would do devotion, um, but what they do their own when they have the alone time. Um, it's not so. They are focusing on how they're showing themselves as a devotee. And then conventional devotee says that yes, Krishna is part of my life on a Sunday or on a day of the week or in a section of my life or part of my social circle or place in my house. So Krishna is part of my life sometimes. And the attitude is they're always asking something from Krishna. I want, so they have so many material desires. And committed devotee is focused on his sadhana and using his senses in serving Krishna. Um, and for them, Krishna is every part of their life, and they are trying to surrender to Krishna as much time that they have and as much service that they can do. And they understand that it's not about me; it's about Krishna. And confidential devotee, um, they are focused on Krishna's personality, Krishna's qualities, his charm, his name, um, and they absorbed in thinking about that. And for them, they enter into Krishna's life. Their life they have made is Krishna, like they had entered into Krishna's life. So for conventional devotee, it's like Krishna is part of my life sometimes, and committed devotees, Krishna is every part of my life. And for confidential devotees, Krishna is my life. Krishna is my life. And the attitude is intimacy with Krishna. They place Krishna's desires above themselves at all times and become kinkaris. So, Krishna, whatever you desire, you can give it to me. And I'm your kinkari, means I'm your servant. I Nanda Tunuja Kinkara Patitanam Vishwam Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. I'm just your servant. And then we discussed about feeling separation from Krishna, longing for Krishna. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that we need to understand that we are separated from Krishna. Um, it is essential for the sadhaka to cultivate this mood of vipralamba. And there are 4 types of vipralamba bhavs that we discussed. There are 4 stages of separation. There is Purva Rag, there is Pravas, Prema Vaichitya, and Man. For the devotee in the material world, he only experiences Purva Rag. Purva Rag means that there is feeling of separation even before you meet with the Lord. Like we have the case of Rukmini. Rukmini, she heard so much about Krishna, his beauty, his qualities, that she became anxious to see him. Also, other pastime, other Dvij Patnis, the Brahmana, the wives of the Brahmanas, they had heard about Krishna from, the flower sellers, betel nut sellers, and they became attached to Krishna. And the ladies of Mathura also, I guess they heard about Krishna before Krishna came to Mathura, so they were also very they were longing to see Krishna. So that's Purva Rag. And so hearing from Guru and scriptures, Sadhu, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, we develop this Purva Rag. You hear so much about the other person that now you want to meet him. And then when our longing becomes stronger, we are willing to cross all the obstacles to meet him. So that's Purva Rag. And then Pravas, separation. So Pravas, Prema Vachitya, and Man happen in the spiritual world. Pravas is feeling of separation when Krishna is going away. Like when Krishna was leaving for Mathura, gopis were, we hear that gopis were throwing themselves under the chariot wheel of the Akrura, and gopis were pulling Akrura down and beating him, trying to stop him from taking Krishna. So they were experiencing so much separation. And prema vaichitya is experienced when the lovers are together and they fear that they will become separated. And that's Radharani, when the bumblebee pastime in the Prem Sarovar, when she was with Krishna and she heard that Madhu has gone, so she felt that Krishna left her, and then in the presence of Krishna she was feeling ecstatic separation uh, from Krishna. And then Man also we hear in Radharani's case, when she develops this sulky mood, she develops anger towards Krishna. Maybe Krishna has gone to her competitor Chandravali or somewhere. Then she develops this Man, or Krishna reciprocates with other gopis. Then Radharani, she doesn't want to see Krishna, but she's feeling a lot of separation from Krishna during this Man Leela. So there are four kinds of separation mentioned.
Can you
Okay,
tell the
so
names again?
next one.
Names. Can you tell the names again?
Purva Rag,
Uh-huh.
Pravas, Prema Vaichitya, and Man. So I was hearing this. See, this is an art of chanting, and I can read something. Union and separation. Yugayutam nimishena chakshusha pravashayutam shunyayutam jagat sarvam govinda virahiname. Oh Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. In this verse, Mahaprabhu, who was always absorbed in the ecstasy of Srimati Radhika, describes the attitude of separation felt by Radharani when Krishna left Vrindavan and went to Mathura. The feeling of ecstasy in separation is very helpful in attaining love of God. With the advancement of bhakti, one will feel that everything is empty and meaningless without Krishna. As the feelings of separation from Krishna become more and more intense, one becomes qualified to meet the playful Lord of the heart face to face. Srila Prabhupada portrays the symptoms of a devotee chanting the Mahamantra with genuine feelings of separation from Krishna. It is the aspiration of a devotee that while he chants Hare Krishna mantra, his eyes will fill with tears, his voice falter, and his heart throb. These are good signs in chanting the holy name of the Lord. In ecstasy, one should feel the entire world to be vacant without the presence of Govinda. This is a sign of separation from Govinda. In material life, we are all separated from Govinda and are absorbed in material sense gratification. Therefore, when one comes to his senses on the spiritual platform, he becomes so eager to meet Govinda that without Govinda, the entire world becomes a vacant place. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the golden volcano of divine love, taught how to attain the stage of meeting Krishna by cultivating intense feeling of separation. By chanting the holy name with this attitude, one will meet Krishna in the Maha Mantra. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur says that the holy name is Jiva's first encounter with Krishna in this world. In Krishna book, chapter 34, Srila Prabhupada says that a guru must teach his disciples how to feel constant separation from Lord Krishna while engaged in his service. This is the highest platform of devotion and the perfection of Krishna consciousness. The mode of separation originates in the spiritual world where Radha Govinda taste four different types of Vipralamba. Purva Rag is a type of love and separation experience between lovers who have not yet met. Man is anger that prevents loving couple from meeting. Prema Vechitya is feeling separation in the very presence of the beloved, and Pravas is separation due to living at a distant place. Example felt when Krishna goes to Mathura. A sadhaka in this material world only experience Vipralamba in the form of Purva Rag because factually he has not yet met Krishna. Someone may ask how it is possible to feel separation from Krishna if we have never met him. Purva Rag can be awakened in the heart simply by hearing from the Shastras and Vaishnavas about the form and pastimes of Radha Govinda. Princess Rukmini had never seen Krishna, but she heard about him from sages like Narad Muni, who regularly frequented her father's palace. As a result, extremely powerful feelings of Purva Rag grew in Rukmani's heart. She desired nothing else but to surrender herself at Krishna's lotus feet and become his wife. She expressed her feeling in a letter to Krishna. My dear Krishna, O infallible and most beautiful one, any human being who happens to hear about your transcendental form and pastimes immediately absorbs through his ears your name, fame, and qualities. Thus all his material pangs subside and he fixes your form in his heart. Through such transcendental love for you, he always sees you within himself, and by this process, all his desires are fulfilled. Lord, Lord Chaitanya is the embodiment of Vipralamba Bhav. Playing the part of a devotee, he taught how to always be in the mood of separation from Krishna. The seventh shloka of Shikshashtakam is a nice example of Vipralamba Bhav, wherein Lord Chaitanya depicts the intensity of separation sadhaka must feel within himself if he ever wants to meet Krishna face to face. I want to continue with the Leela of Gopa Kumara like for a few minutes. So yesterday we saw that how Krishna, when he saw Gopa Kumara, he leaped forward and he came close to Gopa Kumara. And compelled by affection, he tried to embrace Gopakumara, but Gopakumara faints in love, seeing Krishna, because he became aware how Krishna loves him. And then also Krishna faints. Krishna caught hold of Gopakumara by the neck and embraces Gopakumara, and suddenly Krishna faints. So then, a moment later, Gopakumara he awakens and freed his neck from Krishna's grasp and sees that Krishna has fallen unconscious on the ground. And Krishna he was covered with dust, and although he was unconscious, he was crying profusely, and his tears were turning the dust of the road into mud. So some of the gopis they ran over and said, "Oh, look, who has come here? This stranger boy, he has come, and see what he has done. He has put our Krishna, our life and soul into such a state. Alas, alas, just see, people of Raj, now we are all dead. This boy must be some servant of Kansa." The gopis were lamenting and started to cry loudly in distress. And they were all surrounding Krishna as he was on the ground unconscious. So other cowherd men and women came over and they started to cry also with pitiful voices. And Nanda and Yashoda, they heard this terrible sound of crying coming from far away in the village, and they too ran to that place. And as they were running, their feet were stumbling on the path. They were crying out, "Alas, alas, what has happened to Krishna?" And the cows and the bulls and the calves also came there, and the black deer and the peacock and the does and the other animals, they were also weeping, crying out in love for Krishna. Their faces were drenched with a flood of tears. They approached Krishna and they were gently smelling him and licking him again and again. They were all desperately feeling so much anxiety. What has happened to dear Krishna? And the birds flying overhead, they were making tumultuous noise as if they were crying. And immobile creatures were also experiencing great pain within, and suddenly they all dried up. So all beings, moving and non-moving, they were on the verge of death. And Gopakumara says he was drowning in an ocean of sorrow, confused about what to do. He put Krishna's lotus feet on his head and he began sobbing and lamenting. So, and then Balram came running over, and full of fear. Gopakumara describes how Balram was looking. He was white in complexion and he wore blue garments and he appeared very charming. He was of the same age as Krishna and he was nicely dressed. And Balram, he also cried for a moment, but then he regained his composure and he looked around. And with great care and attention, he made Gopakumara hold Krishna by the neck with his arms. And he asked Gopakumara to wipe out dust from Krishna's body and call out to him and lift Krishna from the ground. So suddenly, Krishna opened his eyes and seeing Gopakumara, he joyfully embraced him and kissed him. But then he looked around and he became embarrassed because everyone was watching him. So Krishna, he received Gopakumara as a long lost friend and asked him various questions. Sanatana Goswami, he doesn't tell us what questions Krishna is asking Gopakumara. Krishna then greeted everyone and entered the village of Raj. It is mentioned how the forest animals, they were miserable because they were now separated from Krishna. So like in the morning, Krishna is in the forest, so all these forest animals, they're getting association of Krishna. But now Krishna is entering the village, so they're now feeling separation from Krishna. They stood at the entrance of the village ready to spend their entire night there in hope of seeing Krishna early next morning. And birds in the sky, they were unable to see Krishna, they were crying. All creatures in Goloka have so much love for Krishna. They have so much longing to be with Krishna. And Rishabdev says that who can go to the spiritual world? Pritir na yavan mai Vasudeva na mochiyate deha yogina tavat. Unless one has love for Lord Vasudev, he is certainly not delivered from having to accept a material body again and again. So we need this Krishna Prem to go into Goloka, and we can see all the living entities there. They have so much love for Krishna. They're feeling so much anxiety seeing Krishna unconscious and feeling separation from Krishna. Nanda Maharaj, then he saw Krishna and he said to Krishna, "My boy, you must be tired from wandering in the forest. You go home with Balram and you take bath. I will look after the cows. Don't delay any longer. Your mother will be unhappy and she will scold me." So Mother Yashoda quickly came to meet the boys, and her clothing and body was wet with milk flowing from her breasts, and the tears also that flooded from her eyes in love. And together with Rohini, she offered Aarti to Krishna, Balram, and Sarupa, worshipping each limb of their bodies again and again. Yashoda affectionately embraced and kissed Krishna, and understanding that Krishna has so much love for Gopakumara, Yashoda also took Gopakumara on her lap and embraced him. She had seen how enthusiastically Krishna had greeted Gopakumara when he and Krishna had first met on the road. So then all the gopis arrived there, and so these gopis, they had made various excuses in their homes for coming to see Krishna, and other gopis, they did not pay any attention. The family members were trying to stop them, but they disregarded them. And the gopis, these gopis, they are beyond concern for any public opinion or any ordinary religious principles. So the Mother Yashoda and Mother Rohini, they got ready to bathe Krishna and Balram, but Krishna, he wanted to enjoy with the gopis. So he said to his mother, "Dear mother, we are very hungry, so please make some rice and send for our father and feed us right away." So the gopis were happy to hear Krishna's request because it gave them an excuse for sending away Mother Yashoda and Rohini. The gopis told Yashoda and Rohini that, oh, please set this work aside of bathing Krishna and Balram. Please prepare dinner for them and we will bathe them. So Yashoda said, okay, first bathe Balram and then send him off to fetch Nanda Maharaj for the meal. So gopis, they bathed Balram and sent him off, and Yashoda and Rohini, they went into the house to cook dinner. And in the presence of Balram, the gopis are very shy. They are not able to relax and enjoy with Krishna. So they were very glad to see Balram, Yashoda, and Rohini all go away. So then the gopis, they divided up the service amongst themselves. There were so many gopis who wanted to serve Krishna. Too many for all of them to do the same thing at once. So they divided the tasks amongst themselves. One gopi took off one of Krishna's ornaments, a different gopi another ornament of Krishna, and so on. And they wiped his limbs with their own garments. But when they asked for Krishna's flute, um, who was like their rival, who was like the rival of the gopis, and they tried to snatch it from Krishna's hand, Krishna made a sign to alert Gopakumara, and he threw it from a distance into his hands. So the gopis, they see the flute of Krishna as the competitor for the nectar of his lips, and they have some ill feelings towards the flute. Several of the girls, they were demanding, give it to me, no, give it to me, and were threatening to rip it away by force. Is Krishna's flute, would never let the gopis stay in peace. Whenever Krishna would play on his flute, whenever this flute music would come to their ears, they would become totally mad, and they would give up whatever work they were doing, and they would become stunned and unable to respond to anyone. So gopis, they always wanted to steal Krishna's flute away. And Krishna understood this. So he wrinkled his eyebrows to signal Sarupa, who was standing some distance behind him, and swiftly threw his flute in Sarupa's hand. So
So
I
I
will
will
stop
stop
here
here
and
and
maybe
maybe
I'll
I will
continue with
continue
the
with the
Leela
Leela.
tomorrow. What happens next? Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Very nice description from Brihad Bhagavatamrita.
Hare Krishna, Matak. Very beautiful.
So Sarupa has Krishna's flute now?
Yes.
So, Prabhuji, I have a question. So, Gopakumara went to Goloka in material body or after in a spiritual form?
Yeah, he's in Goloka, so it's all spiritual form. No
Spiritual
material
form.
body can go there.
Okay. And Mataji, like he does the like sadhana and everything. I'm curious to know the story of like how he.
Yeah, he met his guru when he was in Vrindavan, Bhauma Vrindavan, and he developed affection for Krishna. Bhav and prem symptoms came to him, and he fell unconscious and fell into Yamuna river. So he died, and then he saw how he was being carried from the river Yamuna in the Bhauma Vrindavan, and then he actually has gone through different planets. Like he went to Brahmalok, he went to Vaikuntha and Dwarka Dham and Ayodhya Dham, but he was not fitting at any of these places. That's how Sanatan Goswami explains. Like his bhav was like he was not feeling nice. Like even in Vaikuntha, there is some awe and reverence. He wanted to embrace Vishnu, and that doesn't happen in Vaikuntha. So ultimately, he has come to Golok Vrindavan where he fits in with his mood. And he also meets Narad Muni at multiple places. Narad Muni guides him to come. I have not also read all the details, but he has been through many, many different uh, material planets, but ultimately he has come to Goloka, and here he fits in very well with his rasa that he has with Krishna of friendship. So he's become a cowherd boy.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Anything else anybody like to say? So different modes of separation from Krishna. Only those who have met Krishna, they can experience that mood, right? in one sense, the one with Krishna, bumblebee pastime, right, where Krishna was with. That's
Mhm.
and then the other one where Krishna is going to Mathura. Those
And Man also. Prema Vachate and Man. But we have experience of Purva Rag in the material world, where we have not yet seen Krishna, but we have developed a longing to see him. We are in separation, but like Rukmani Devi.
Mataji,
or
said,
we were with Krishna in the spiritual world, but we have left him, forgotten. Like I don't know, but we don't remember. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Preeti,
yeah, I was saying, you said like Purva Rag that we feel longing by hearing, right? When we hear, um, and Pravas, that is, you give an example of gopis when Krishna was leaving Vrindavan, right? And he's going to Mathura. So, how he was feeling separation and he wanted to stop, they wanted to stop him, right? And Man, we have like Radharani had this sulky mood, right? And in that mood also is he, she, she's in Man, but she feeling separation, right? Internally in her heart. Okay, and prem vichitya. How
Correct.
how would you say that? It
Yeah,
both
that's
same or
Prem Vachate there is feeling of separation in the presence of the beloved.
okay, okay. Thank you, Mataji.
that's the bumblebee pastime.
Correct.
Prem Sarovar. Yeah. Okay.
And what was said that you have seen that when Krishna left Vrindavan, but Radharani was seeing in every like, bumblebees and everywhere he is seeing Krishna. So is this include all three, Pravas, Man, and Prem Vichitte, or only is it Prem Vichitte? Because we have seen that when he see the color, she remember that this kind of garment Krishna is wear, and these trees when she saw the trees, she remind that Krishna is sitting here and playing the flute like that. So
Yeah, I mean, so much of it is described like Radharani, wherever she sees anything, she's reminded of Krishna. Like she sees the blue clouds, she remembers, oh, this is Krishna. Like we were hearing past time yesterday, right? She saw Govardhan Hill, and there was a rainbow on the Govardhan Hill, and she thought this was Krishna. The rainbow is like the peacock feather. So she's reminded of Krishna by saying, that. The what is it called that you were saying yesterday?
Uddipan.
Uddipans, yeah. So everything around her reminds her of Krishna, and she feels intense separation. Actually, there is a very detailed description of Srimati Radharani feeling separation. If you want, I can share right here this book, uh, Srimati Radharani's Pastime by Purushottam Maharaj. Um, do you want to read this a little bit, Prabhuji? How much Radharani feels separation from Krishna? I mean, she has this exalted love for Krishna. We can never reach at that point, but we can understand how much she loves Krishna by seeing how much separation she's feeling.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let's see. The following narration describes how Srimati Radharani felt when Sri Krishna left Vrindavan for Mathura, including the many symptoms of love and separation she endured in Krishna's absence. Srila Rupa Goswami has described Radha's predicament in his play Lalita Madhav. With Krishna and Balram on the chariot about to depart with the Krura, Vishakha and Radha's other close friends were hesitant. Would they tell Radha about Krishna's departure for Mathura or not? How could Radha tolerate being separated from Krishna? Even the fraction of a moment Krishna was absent from Radha's vision due to the blinking of her eyes was unbearable for her. Indeed, she was known to glorify the good fortune of the fish who have eyes that never blink. And that's the Gopi Geet, right? They're blaming Brahman that he has created eyelids that they have to blink. Even moment separation with Krishna they could not tolerate. When Radha heard the tumultuous sound of the gopis crying, she took off running like a frightened doe. Agitated by transcendental madness, she spoke incoherently. Lalita and Vishaka tried to console their friend, but what could they say to pacify her? One moment she cried bitterly, the next moment she rolled on the ground in front of Akrura's chariot, and the next moment she gazed at Krishna's face with tear filled eyes. Under normal circumstances, she would never look directly at Krishna. Mute. Okay. She would never look directly at Krishna's face. Yeah, even in the confidential association of her gopi friends. But now she was openly staring at her beloved, and in the presence of her superiors. With a blade of brass between her teeth, Radha begged Krishna's brother Balram not to leave Vrindavan. But still, Balram and Krishna shortly left on Akrura's chariot, though Krishna assured the gopis that he would come back soon. Due to Krishna's absence from Vrindavan, the bumblebees stopped drinking honey. The peacocks no longer decorated Vrindavan's forest with their lively dances, and the male Chakravaka birds refused the company of their wives. In separation from Sri Krishna, Srimati Radharani went mad. Her mind was so disturbed by the pain of separation that she ran wildly about or stood like a painted picture. She laughed uncontrollably or wept piteously. She was at times very talkative, while at other times she was completely silent. She would search for Krishna, asking anyone and anything that crossed her path. My dear friend, where is my Krishna? The rising full moon of Maharaj Nanda's oceanic dynasty. Where is Krishna, whose head is decorated with a peacock feather? Where is he? Where is that Krishna, the consummate flute player? Where is that blue jewel? Where is the most expert of all dancers? Oh, please tell me where to find Krishna. Who can save my life by telling me where to find Krishna? O Vidhata, controller of the universe, I condemn you for separating me from Krishna. Vishaka tried to pacify Radha by reminding her about Krishna's promise to return. In response, Radha said, You gopis may be convinced that Krishna is compassionate and that he will come back, but the pain of being separated from Krishna, which is my greatest enemy, is cutting my heart to pieces. This enemy of mine will never allow me to live happily. In great agony, Radharani said, The blazing fire of separation from Krishna has burnt my heart to ashes. That fire of separation is more deadly than a strong dose of poison, more intolerable than the thunderbolt of Indra, more sharp than a spear driven directly into the heart, and more horrifying than the final stage of cholera. Seeing a Chakravaka bird, Radharani said, Oh, my friend, you have come from the east. Surely you have been in Mathura. You must have some news about Krishna. Please tell me how he is doing. He must be tired from his journey on the chariot. Has anyone taken care of him? So, Radharani has become madly in love with Krishna. She's seeing the bird and asking the bird this question. Has anyone tried to relieve his fatigue? Has anyone decorated him with leaves, fresh sprouts, and other forest ornaments? Next, looking at a crow perched atop a kadamba tree, Radha said, Oh brother, please go to Krishna and offer respectful obeisances on our behalf. Give him this message. O moon of all amorous heroes, the flames of separation from you are now beginning to burn the animal of my life breath in the house of my body. Please unbolt the firm lock of hope that keeps that animal trapped inside the burning building. So Radharani is saying that I am like an animal who's trapped in this house, and this house is put on fire, and there is a lock on the door, so I cannot escape. So I'm burning. So Radharani is saying, please unbolt the lock so my soul can escape. Radharani then saw a female parrot to her left and said, "O parrot friend, you are a messenger from Krishna. Please tell me what is the news about him. Has he broken the sharp thorns of his enemies? Is he now surrounded by his friends? Are they now preparing a chariot for his return to Vrindavan?" All of a sudden, feeling very frightened, Radharani started to cry and said, Now Krishna has left. Where can I hear the nectarine sound of his flute? I cannot feel peace even for a moment. There are no words that can free me from my grief. Alas, where has the Lord of my life gone? I cannot see Krishna anymore. Therefore, what is the purpose of my life? In an attempt to pacify Sri Radha, Lalita said, "Oh, lotus-eyed Radha, Krishna can never leave us. He must be playing a joke on us. Just search for him in the forest of Vrindavan. We will definitely find him there." "Yes, you are correct," Radharani said. "It's not possible for Krishna to leave us. Let us search for him in the forest." So Radharani searched for Sri Krishna. She saw a small group of does and with tears in her eyes said to them, "Hello, it looks like you must have seen Krishna. I can see half-eaten grass is falling from your mouths. It must be because charming Krishna has stolen your hearts. Or maybe you have heard the bewildering sound of his flute." Should I continue, Prabhuji, or you want to read or stop?
I can read.
Yeah.
After a short walk, Radha came across some peahens. She laughed loudly and said, "Oh, peahens, please tell me where is my Krishna, who is decorated with a peacock feather? Where is he hiding in this forest?" With Lalita and Vishakha by her side, Radharani's wanderings eventually brought her to Sakhistali. That is the place of Chandravali and her girlfriends, where Radha's rival also was at that moment suffering from intense grief, so much so that she was standing completely still, unable to move. Sri Radha, with tears in her eyes and a choked voice, said, "Oh, my friend Chandravali, have you seen your friend Krishna, the independent minded prince of Raj?" In reply, Radha could only hear the echoes of what she had said, vibrating in the caves of nearby Govardhan Hill. In her confused state, Radha wondered why Govardhan was now asking her the same question she had just asked Chandravali. She heard the same echo of her question. So Govardhan is asking. Completely bewildered, she approached the nearest cave and said, "I can see you look very auspicious. Krishna must have embraced you very tightly many times. Please embrace me with your arms, which have been marked by the fragrance of Krishna's flower earrings." So, cave. Then, seeing her own reflection in one of the stones in the cave, Radharani tried to embrace herself. Unsuccessful, Radha turned away from the cave, looked off into the distance, and said, "Oh, Lalita, look, look, look. I have seen Krishna. There in the far distance he stands decorated with a peacock feather and embraced by beautiful gopis." So Radharani is thinking Krishna is there. In the distance, she's seeing Krishna with peacock feather with the gopis. But after looking more carefully, she found it that it was not Krishna. After all, it was a mirage created by a rain cloud, lightning, and a rainbow on top of Govardhan Hill. That's what you were saying yesterday. Then Radharani fainted. When she regained consciousness, with great respect, she approached Giri Govardhan and prayed, "O King of Mountains, you are a very affectionate servant of Krishna. You give shelter to Krishna with your lap. Please open one of your caves and show Krishna to me." She did not hear any reply from Govardhan. With folded hands, she again prayed to the great devotee of Sri Krishna, "O Govardhan, you are so tall. From your great height, you can easily see distant places. Please look around in all directions and tell me where my Krishna is." Radharani walked a short distance away from Govardhan Hill and seeing a Kadamba tree, she said, "Oh friend, are you not the same Kadamba tree under which I sat while Krishna placed a peacock feather crown on my head?" Looking back towards Govardhan, Radha saw the entrance to a cave and began crying. While her tears fell, she said, "Whenever I see this place, I remember how here Krishna made a bed for me out of pure white jasmine flowers." So she's remembering all her meeting places with Krishna, and try as she might, Radha could not find Krishna anywhere. In great distress, she scoured Vrindavan forest and the area all around Govardhan Hill. But she could not find a trace of Krishna. She could not even pick up a hint of his aroma. At one point, she saw a hill covered in the golden flowers with a tamal tree on top. In her excited state, she mistook the hill for Krishna. So there was a tumultuary on the hill, and Akrura riding away on a chariot, and exclaimed, "I will grab Krishna and drag him down from the chariot." Then she fainted. Vishaka told Lalita to fan Radharani with the edge of her sari. Meanwhile, Vishaka went off to find some lotus petals. Radharani's suffering was so intense that Mansi Ganga dried up and Govardhan Hill noticeably shrunk. When Radha finally regained consciousness, she was speaking to herself in a very incoherent way. So she has completely gone in like crazy after Krishna. Continuing to wander, the gopis soon reached the bank of Yamuna. There they worshipped the sun god, hoping that he might make it possible for them to fulfill the desires of Srimati Radharani. But Radha was wrapped in remembering the different pastimes she had enjoyed with Krishna there on the Yamuna shore, and so she fainted once again. Lalita took a garland Krishna had once worn and held it under Radharani's nose. After a long time, Sri Radha regained consciousness. Some moments later, Radha saw a herd of cows. She thought that Krishna must be there tending his cows, and so she excitedly ran towards the herd. But when she reached there, she did not find Krishna. Instead, she found that the cows were in a very dejected state, making sounds of lamentations due to their own feelings of separation from Krishna. In an angry mood, Radha said, "The king Kans is responsible for this. He has carried away Krishna, who is the very life of Raj. Let a black snake bite Kansa's chest," with great anger. Having said this, Radha once again fainted and fell to the ground. Ever so gently, Lalita moved Radha's body, holding on to her lovingly. Gradually, Radha opened her eyes, and the party walked back towards the Yamuna. When they reached the river bank, Radharani saw there in the soft sand Krishna's footprint with all kinds of identifying marks like a flag, thunderbolt, and so on. Of course, this too reminded her of Krishna, and so her feelings of separation grew more intense as she remembered Krishna more and more. Seeing Radharani in this condition, Lalita told her, "Let us go again to worship Surya Narayan and beg him to fulfill your desire." So, with palms together, Radha prayed to the sun god, begging that he fulfill her desire. Somehow Vishaka could see indications that the sun god had blessed Radha, though she did not know what form that benediction might take. Looking out over the majesty of the Yamuna, Radharani said, "O friend Yamuna Devi, all the groves on your white sandy banks are part of Krishna's playground. Yamuna Tira Manachari." So, he is roaming on the banks of Yamuna and also in the forest. So, saying this, Radha again fainted, falling onto the soft sand on the bank of Yamuna. And again, Lalita was able to bring Radha back to external consciousness by placing under her nose a flower garland that had been worn by Vanamali Krishna and that Vishaka had brought for that purpose.
Yeah. Later in this play, Lalita Madhav, it's mentioned how Radharani, she drowned herself in Yamuna. And Vishakha also, and they reappeared as Satyabhama and Rukmini and Dwarka. So, I mean, we can see how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he also has this ecstatic feeling of separation. Sometimes he's crying, sometimes he's laughing. So he's in Radharani's mood. And also the six Goswamis in the Sad Goswami Ashtakam, right? They are always saying, where are you, Radha, where are you, Krishna? The last verse. They're also feeling separation from Radha Krishnas.
This is the highest stage of devotional service. Okay.
Yeah, so we should also know that we're separated from Krishna in the sense that when we are, engrossed in the thoughts of sense gratification, we should also feel, we are so much away from pure love for Krishna.
Yeah. And because of envy of Krishna, we thought that's the main thing, right? We came to the material world because we thought, why I can enjoy also like Krishna. So unless that mood of envy goes from the heart, which means trying to be the enjoyer and take Krishna's position, you can't appreciate Krishna's pastimes with Radharani. So, okay. Anything else? Thank you for that.
Hare Krishna Sugandha Mataji, can you please post the three types of chanters that you said: committed, confidential, and what was the other
Yeah, sure.
I am the conventional chanter, committed. You are like committed, all of you are committed, and what was the other one?
Confidential.
Confidence. Okay. So we'll finish one now. Anything else anyone would like to say about what we read? So that garland that Lalita places under Krishna, or rather spiritual, is this this Vrindavan or is it the Golok Vrindavan? This pastime.
This is Rupa Goswami's play, right? So of course he's seeing in his meditation. In Golok Vrindavan also Krishna goes to Mathura because Krishna wants, he separates himself from his devotees many times. Even during the Ras Leela he separated, right? So in order to increase their longing for him, he says. So even in Golok Vrindavan, yeah, he creates that. We will see in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, we have read that before, the description of Krishna going to Mathura and all the gopis crying. So he creates that pastime also in Goloka. And the Bhaum Vrindavan's pastime is very similar to going on in Goloka. The only difference is that in Bhaum Vrindavan there are actually demons that come, the demoniac souls. But in the Golok Vrindavan, also demons come, but there are no demoniac souls. It's just Krishna creates a drama there. But he sends demons also, and the devotees become fearful there, and Krishna comes and becomes a hero, killing the demon. So that's also Brihad Bhagavatamrita says that the demons like Kaliya, Arishtasur, they come.
So all this is ultimately Krishna is doing to increase the affection of his devotees, the longing for him, whatever he does. Is to increase Krishna wants everybody to be attached.
Yeah, correct. Even in the case of Narad Muni, we hear, right, like how Krishna appeared as Paramatma in the heart, and Narad Muni was able to see him for a moment, and then he disappeared, and he tried again and again to see him, but Krishna said that you will not be able to see me in this lifetime. So I have disappeared so as to increase your eagerness to attain me. So also in our life, we get some experiences of, we feel realizations from Krishna, reciprocation from Krishna, but then that disappears, right? So then we feel longing to again go back into the same, experience, and let me experience again maybe some nice chanting that I did. I had that ecstatic bhav for Krishna. Let me again go. When would I get that bhav again? So let that longing also for the devotees there to get again that experience.
Correct. Okay. And the more pure we are in the heart, then the more these feelings will also come. Okay. So, 325:18, Glories of Devotional Service. This is devotional service in separation, what we were talking about. Jnana Vairagya Yuktena Bhakti yuktena chatmana paripashyatya udasinam prakritim cha hato jasam. In that position of self realization, by practice of knowledge and renunciation in devotional service, one sees everything in the right perspective. He becomes indifferent to material existence, and the material influence acts less powerfully upon him. So he becomes callous to material existence because this material existence is nothing but like a dream. So he becomes indifferent to material existence. It says because he's focused on the soul, like Shukdev Goswami and others. They were indifferent to Rishabdev, and so whatever is happening around is just like it's happening in a dream. He doesn't. That's why he remains steady. He knows this is not like the truth. And my body itself is not the truth. So whatever is happening to the body. I mean, I'm saying about those who are very self-realized, not myself. But we can at least understand what their state of consciousness is. They are not in the bodily conception of life, so anything connected to the body, they're indifferent. And the material influence acts less powerfully upon him. So yeah, the modes of nature are not, especially modes of passion and ignorance, are not acting on him. Okay. He becomes free from this. As the contamination of the germs of a particular disease can influence a weaker person, similarly, the influence of material nature or illusory energy can act on the weaker or conditioned soul, but not on the liberated soul. So, how strong, if there is a very healthy person, he will not contact disease immediately. But somebody whose immunity is very weak, then he can fall sick very easily. So, somebody who is not spiritually strong can be victimized by the illusory energy. Of course, the strong person always thinks himself to be weak, and that's how he remains protected. Like Prabhupada said, I'm always praying to Krishna that I may never fall down. I'm always seeking Krishna's protection. So when I was chanting to this morning, one prayer is to Krishna, Krishna, please protect me. Krishna, please protect me. Protect me from my own material desires and all my. So, Krishna, please, I need protection from my mind, which is conditioned. So, Krishna, you please protect me because I'm not very strong. And your illusory material energy is very powerful. So, please protect me. So, this is Prabhupada was saying like that. So, but somebody who is weak, then he can be influenced by the illusory energy. But one should not play with Maya. Maya, knows our weakness and everything. So, self-realization is the position of the liberated state. One understands his constitutional position. And to remain protected, we should always chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That's the, one of the qualities of Vaishnava that they were reading. The 26 qualities of a Vaishnava is that he controls his mind and senses. So, how to control the mind? Prabhupada says the easiest way to control the mind is to
chant Hare Krishna constantly with humility, in all
chant Hare Krishna.
humility.
Yes, chant Hare Krishna in all humility. So that's why Prabhupada sometimes says 24 hours one should chant Hare Krishna because we want to remain protected. One understands his constitutional position by knowledge and vairagya, renunciation. So, Gyan and vairagya, then we can go internal. That video was there from Bhakti Charu Maharaj. He was saying how our senses are constantly running towards the sense objects outside of us. But we have to bring the senses inward. That is also Ashtanga Yoga. Pratyahar means as long as the senses are running towards sense objects, we cannot realize who we are until you internalize, then you will understand, oh, you are the soul of the body. One understands his constitutional position by knowledge and vairagya, renunciation. Or he acts on what he has heard in terms of knowledge. That verse is there, right? The self-realized sage, whatever he has heard in terms of Vedanta, he practices. I forget that word. Yeah, he sees like that.
Bhagavad Gita?
Bhagavatam.
Vadanti, what says it? Veda Vadanti. Vadanti Tat Tattva.
No.
Isn't
Bhameti Paramatmeti.
Jnana Chakshu or something that he practices what he has heard. What is that word? It's in Bhagavatam. Practices the spell. Tashraddhana Munayo.
Takshraddhadhanamana Gyan Vairagya Yuktaya Pashyanti Atmani Chatmanam Bhaktya Shruta Grahitaya.
What is the translation?
The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti.
So based on what he has heard, so he follows the rules and regulations. And those rules and regulations about what he has heard in terms of what is to be done, what is not to be done. He follows the rules and regulations. And in this way, he can, just like, chanting Hare Krishna, it's a rule. Following the four regulative principles, it's a regulation. Regulation is like prohibitions, and rules are the do's. And I was thinking this morning that rules and regulations actually make our life go smooth. Like we have traffic rules and regulations, right? Not to do this thing, don't take a left turn here or something like that, they'll say. So all these rules and regulations are to make our life go smoothly, basically, so we can reach our destination. Imagine if all the traffic was on the road and there was no rules and regulations, then there'll be chaos completely. So these rules and regulations are to protect us and so that we can go to our destination nicely. That's why we say first discrimination, then determination, and then discipline. So first you have to know what is to be done, what is not to be done, and then you should have determination to follow what is to be done. Like every day, I was thinking, this is a rule. Every day in Brahma Muhurat, we should chant Hare Krishna very nicely. It's a rule. Prabhupada says, if you do that, if you don't follow the rule, if you sometimes follow the rule, then the advancement will also be like that, right? Sometimes not so solid. So if it's a rule, like Raghunath Das Goswami had the rule, of course we may give our own reasons why I cannot do, but that's our lifestyle. We have made our lifestyle like that. We may not be able to do this and that. So yeah, then the result will also be not fully there. So this I'm thinking about myself. So I'm not talking about anyone else. So that's how Raghunath Das Goswami, the rules were like lines on the stone. That's it. Morning chanting means chanting, that's it. And similarly, like other times, whatever. So rules and prohibitions, both should be very, very, one should adhere to the rules and the prohibitions. Then you can make spiritual advancement nicely. But sometimes you do, sometimes you don't do, sometimes you chant, sometimes you are not chanting, sometimes you are chanting looking at the phone, sometimes you are doing this, that. So that's where determination comes, where he said, no, I will do it no matter what. Like Haridas Thakur had this quota of chanting 192 rounds and he was not happy about it, even in his last days. So it's a rule. Of course, it's not just doing the thing, but doing it in the right spirit also. Then otherwise it becomes niyama. niyama agraha, but not following and not doing in the right spirit, but to follow and do it in the right spirit. That's basically it. So, like yesterday, we were saying that it's to tick off. We are not doing anything to tick off. So, we have to make some sankalpa. That, no, today I will chant very nicely. Today I am not going to. Like, and when the sankalpa goes down after a few rounds, then again you stop, as Mahatma Prabhu says, you stop and get into the right mood again, and then start chanting again. Take 2-3 minutes and restate your sankalpa, and then again say, no, I had decided to chant this nicely in the morning. So why am I, looking at the phone or doing this or dozing off? Or no, again, I'll do whatever it takes to chant nicely again. So like that, we have to bring back on the track. So like that, that's determination. Without knowledge, one cannot have realization. The realization comes by Krishna's mercy. The taste, realization, all is ultimately Krishna's mercy. Without knowledge, one cannot have realization. But knowledge has to, like we say, chanting is not lip dip, but
Heart deep.
heart deep. Yes. So it has really come from the heart. We are not lips are moving just, but heart is not there. So we have to put our heart into it. Without knowledge, one cannot have realization. So knowledge is first required, but the knowledge has to not go to the heart. The realization that one is the infinitesimal part and parcel of the Supreme Spirit makes him unattached to material conditional life. So, I am spirit soul, Prabhupada says, will make you unattached to material conditional life is on the bodily conception. That is the beginning of devotional service. Unless one is liberated from material contamination, one cannot engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord. So, we are not fully liberated from material contamination. We are also doing, but that's mixed devotional service. What here Prabhupada says is pure devotional service. But to come to pure devotional service, it starts as mixed, and then through the endeavor and desire to become pure in heart, it will become pure. In this verse, therefore, it is stated, Jnana Vairagya Yuktena. Yuktena means equipped with Jnana and Vairagya. When one is full knowledge of one's constitutional position, when we are completely convinced, full knowledge, that I am spirit soul, I am part and parcel of Krishna, servant of Krishna, and is in the renounced order of life, detached from material attraction, then by pure devotional service, Bhakti Yuktena, he can engage himself as a loving servant of the Lord. Means it can become apratihata at that point, uninterrupted, when we are completely convinced. And detached from material attraction also, because distraction is because of all the other attraction we have from Krishna's service. We are distracted because we are attracted to other things. Yesterday, I think you were saying that. So, distraction is alternative attraction. So, we are not focused. Then, by pure devotional service, Bhakti Yuktena, he can engage himself as a loving servant of the Lord. So, somehow or other, Paripashyati means that he can see everything in its right perspective. Pashyati means to see, Pari means from everywhere, from all angles. Like Parishram means Parishram means doing Shram from all angles. Like I was saying, Shikshashtaka Prabhu was saying, like Parishram. Yashoda was doing Parishram to bind Krishna. Means she was from all angles. Every way she was trying. So we have with Tan, Man and Dhan. All the ways we are trying. Pranirartha Dhiya Vacha. we are trying to serve Krishna with everything. That's like parishram. So she was very, and that kind of parishram will bind Krishna. Paripashyati means that he can see everything in its right perspective. Then the influence of material nature becomes almost nil. So he is jnana chakshusha, he is seeing with the eyes of knowledge. And then material nature, Maya cannot influence because he's seeing actually the reality. Maya only influences when we don't see, when our consciousness is not seeing in the right perspective, according to Shastra. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. So no influence of material nature. Na sochati, na kangshati. He's not hankering. I want this, I want that for enjoyment. Na sochati. He's not lamenting for anything. And he's very joyful. Influence of material nature almost becomes nil. When one is self-realized, he becomes happy and free from the influence of material nature. And at that time, he's freed from lamentation and hankering. So sadness is due to something which we want, we don't get, or something we had and we lost it. In that position, the Lord states, one begins real devotional service. Mad bhaktim labate param. Because he can, in that state, he can completely focus on Krishna. As long as there is sochati and kangshati, can't focus on Krishna. In that position, the Lord states, one begins real devotional service. Mad bhaktim labate param. Similarly, it is confirmed in the Narad Pancharatra that when the senses are purified, they can be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. So first we have to purify senses by engaging in the, like means and goal are the same. So one who is attached to material contamination cannot be a devotee. So that means pure devotee. One who is attached to material contamination cannot be a devotee. Or it will be difficult if that's why we say to maintain material attachments. If we keep maintaining those attachments, then we can't become a devotee because we may chant, but if we keep maintaining those material attachments, then this is the material contamination, then you cannot progress. Bahu janma kare yadi shravana kirtan. So that's one of the. So we have to relinquish those desires, and they are not very so easy to give up because we are conditioned in such a way. So that's why we have to pray to Krishna very sincerely from the heart. As Prahlad Maharaj says, Krishna, please take away all these material desires in the core of my heart. You are Hari, you can take away.
So here in this verse, Prabhu, it says that, can you go up a little bit? It says that when a soul understands his constitutional position by knowledge and vairagya, and then so here it says that like first a soul understand his position, so knowledge and vairagya, and then one can engage in the devotional service of the Lord. Like unless one is liberated from the material contamination, one cannot engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord. But the many places it is also said that because since knowledge and vairagya comes after when someone engages in the rendering the devotional service of the Lord, and the knowledge and detachment all comes from within it by the bhakti yoga, right? Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janatyashu Vairagyam Jnana Chayad Hetukam, right? So I mean both ways is right, because initially we are, as you are saying, we are conditioned, so we don't have knowledge, and if don't have knowledge, and vairagya is far away. So we can engage our senses in the service of the Lord, and then it get purified, and then knowledge, the Dhammi Buddhi Yoga knowledge comes from within, and then vairagya comes, right?
Correct. Yeah, that is mixed in the beginning because we have material desires. We are doing bhakti with material desires. And then it becomes, as we engage in bhakti and we desire to give up, then it becomes pure like that. So then pure
We
devotion.
we know about bhakti by hearing from others. So Shraddha, Sadhu, Sangha, Bhajan, Kriya. We came in the association of sadhus and we heard from them, and then we started to do bhakti, right? So there is some knowledge there that I should do bhakti.
Correct. Yeah, knowledge. Yeah, by bhajana kriya happens only by sadhu sangha, right? Because we heard some from the sadhu devotees. We got a book. We, so, but bhajana kriya has many stages, like mixed and pure. So it starts, but then it becomes pure as we become. Pure means like I'm only not expecting anything from Krishna. Anya Vilash. I'm just doing it for. I don't want anything. I just want to please Krishna. Means there is no other desire other than to please. Means whole life, your whole life is that I have no other desire. I just want to please Krishna. That's the singular desire. That means your whole life is this is the only desire you have. That I want to please Krishna. That's the Anyabilashita Shunyam. So of course now that can take many different ways and forms like that, but that's only the singular desire. So whatever you are doing, ultimately, yeah, the motivation is I want to please Krishna, I want to serve Krishna, I want to make Krishna happy. Like that. The Rajvasis are saying like that. Krishna happy. So every moment you are thinking how to serve Krishna. Like Radharani is thinking all the time of everything is just about Krishna. So then sometimes you may think, can we really function in the material world? If I just become so much absorbed in Krishna, then will I be able to, do my job and think of so many things? But that job you can think I'm doing for Krishna. So like that. Then Krishna also will give, because then it will become impractical otherwise. Right? We may think, well, if I become too absorbed in Krishna, then how will I be able to? But that is also possible because Krishna will provide. If you serve Krishna directly, Krishna will provide. Many people don't have jobs, but they are surviving. They are not dead. So Krishna will provide. But yeah, we have to think. Okay, so anyhow, so this is the. Since I'm the very far from all these things, so I'm just whatever Prabhupada is. I'm trying to understand, and then we are trying to discuss what Prabhupada is saying here. Each sentence, what Prabhupada is saying. Okay, so then let's read here. Something we can read. In this age, people are generally influenced by the lower modes, the modes of ignorance and passion. And passion gives sense happiness, right? In sense gratification gives happiness, but it doesn't give the ultimate happiness. It gives temporary happiness. In these modes, we are not able to serve Krishna. It is our constitutional position to serve someone, but when we do not serve Krishna, we serve Maya. In any case, we cannot become master. Another thing I was thinking, Prabhupada says here, what the liberated souls can do, the conditioned souls should not imitate what the liberated souls can do. Because they are liberated, they will not be affected by. But if conditioned souls try to imitate the actions of the liberated soul, then it will be not, they'll fall victim. Because the liberated souls, they are they are beyond the modes of material nature.
But
Okay.
as you said, even the purest or the pure devotees, they will be fearful of falling down. So they will not get themselves into a situation where there's a possibility of a fall down.
Like I was thinking about Narad Muni, how he brought Kayadu into his ashram. There, Prabhupada says, yes, Narad Muni can do that because Narad Muni is liberated personality and he was instructing Kayadu, who was the beautiful wife of Hiranyakashipu, for. But if we imitate like that, the great souls, oh, Narad Muni did, I'm fallen, then it will not work. I mean, unless liberated personality. So, goodness is superior to ignorance and passion because from the platform of goodness we can come to understand Krishna and thereby transcend the modes altogether. Okay, that's me. The lower modes. It is our constitutional position to serve someone, but when we do not serve Krishna, we serve Maya. In any case, we cannot become master. Who can say that he's a master, that he's not serving anyone? We may serve our family, country, society, automobile, or whatever. If we cannot find anything, one cannot find anything to serve, he goes and buys a cat or dog and serves it. And Kratu Maharaj often, Kratu Prabhu often says that whoever we serve, if you serve, then that person will love you. If you serve the dog will love you. You serve the child will want to be with you, love you. So if you serve Krishna, Krishna will love you. And then Navin Krishna was asking this question, that doesn't Krishna automatically, without our serving also Krishna loves us? Yes. But Krishna says, Yatha mam prapadyante tans tatheva bhajamiham. I will reciprocate based on how you surrender to me. So Kratu Prabhu was saying that Krishna is businessman, is Gujarati businessman. How much? Of course, we know Krishna loves us unconditionally, but also to experience Krishna's love for us. Krishna is loving us, even though we are like not serving him. We are serving Maya. Krishna still loves us. But if you want to experience Krishna's love, right now in Maya we cannot experience Krishna's love. But when we become devotee, then we can experience Krishna's love. So Krishna is loving us anyhow. So, but we cannot realize Krishna's love until we become devotee. In any case, we cannot become master. It is because service is our nature. We are simply lacking the knowledge of where to direct the service. Prabhupada would often say like, service is meant to be rendered to Krishna and pure devotees. We know the service to pure devotees is even higher than service to Krishna. In the material world, we are serving our lusty desires, not Krishna. And we are deriving no pleasure from this. You have to realize this statement. It's not like Prabhupada isn't saying we are deriving no pleasure, but everybody doesn't feel like that. We are serving our lusty desires, we are deriving pleasure. So, why is Prabhupada saying we are deriving no pleasure from this? So, we are also serving in an office or in some employment in order to get some money. In this case, we are serving money, not the person. Thus, in the material world, we serve the senses and money. In any case, service is there, we must serve. Yeah, of course, we need money because we have to pay our bills and practically we have to. But money, if you're serving Krishna, money will automatically come. Like so many temples they are not employed in some place to get money. They are just doing all Krishna conscious activities and money is pouring in. So, like in Mayapur and some places. Actually, the only master is Krishna. Ekala Ishwar Krishna Arsa Britya. All the demigods, human beings, animals, trees, and everything else are servants. Self-realization is that one is the eternal servant of Krishna and that one's duty is to serve him. Self-realization is not thinking Aham Brahmasmi, I become Brahman, Bhagwan. It is Aham Brahmasmi also means I am not the matter but spirit soul. I am by nature. But I am not Para Brahman. If we are Bhagwan, we are actually the supreme powerful one. If this is the case, why are we in a miserable condition? If I'm Bhagwan, then why am I suffering? Why are we under the influence of Maya? Does Bhagwan come under the influence of Maya? Okay. So, no, Krishna says specifically in Bhagavad Gita that Prakriti, Maya is working under his direction. Maya is the maid servant of Krishna, and if we are servants of Maya, how can we be Krishna? Okay, Jnana Vairagya. Real understanding is knowing oneself to be servant of Krishna and no one else. Because we are under illusion, we are serving Kam, Lobh, Moha, Matsarya, lust and greed, without benefit and without pleasure. Kama Adinam Katina Katita Palita Dunidish. There is no limit to the unwanted orders of lusty desires. When we come to understanding that our pleasure lies in serving Krishna only, we have attained Jnana Vairagya. Therefore, in Srimad Bhagavatam, this statement. Okay, so we can read Krishna. One verse only we read. Okay, so next we'll read Krishna for 10 minutes. So Krishna left the battlefield. Jarasan thought he was becoming victorious. And actually Krishna left the battlefield because he had to attend to a confidential letter sent by Rukmini. Maybe he was in the battlefield and he got the letter. Krishna. So Jarasan was going after him. And Prabhupada said this is his opulence. So Krishna is not attached to anything. He can leave anything. His reputation also. We are attached to a reputation. We are attached to so many things. Krishna is renounced. So his reputation may go to hell, but more is Bhaktavatsal. We were saying yesterday that Bhaktavatsal is more important than his reputation. After traversing a very long distance, the brothers pretended to become tired. So Jarasan was chasing him and they were going. And he was on the foot, right? He was on the foot. Jarasan.
That was Kalyan.
Kalyavan, but here he is going probably on the chariot. Yeah, he says, although he proceeded for a very long distance on foot, it says, without any weapons, Krishna left the battlefield, although his lotus feet were as soft as the petals of a lotus flower. He proceeded. And then Jarasan and everybody was in pursuit. They followed them with all his chariots, horses, and infantry. After traversing a very long distance, the brothers pretended to become tired to mitigate their weariness. So Krishna cannot become tired, but they climbed up a mountain many miles above sea level. This mountain was called Pravarsan due to constant rain, for the peak was always covered with clouds sent by Indra. Jarasan took it for granted that the two brothers were afraid of his military power and hidden themselves at the top. Just like Kalyavan thought, oh, he's sleeping, he's afraid, he's hiding in the cave. So he knew they have gone on the mountain. First he tried to find them. In the mountain he tried to find them, searching for a long time, but when he failed, he decided to trap and kill them by setting fires around the peak. He therefore surrounded the peak with firewood and set it ablaze. As the fire spread more and more, Krishna and Balaram jumped from the top of the mountain down to the ground, a distance of 88 miles. Prabhupada was asked, Prabhupada, where is this mountain? 88 miles high. And Prabhupada said, it is in the sky. It's something. There's some, where is 88 miles high? 88 miles, you can imagine. Where is this mountain? Somebody asked. Thus, while the peak was burning up, Krishna and Balaram escaped. unseen by Jarasandha or his men. So they jumped from the mountain and they thought, Jarasandha thought he's burnt. Jarasandha concluded that the two brothers had burned to ashes and that there was no need of further fighting. Thinking himself successful in his efforts, he left the city of Mathura and returned to his home in the king of Magad. Mission accomplished. He came back. Gradually Krishna, or he thought so, gradually Krishna and Balram reached the city of Dwarka, which was surrounded by the sea. So they came to Dwarka, where Rukmini was. Following this, Sri Balram married Revati, daughter of King Raivat, ruler of Anartha province. This is explained in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. After the marriage of Baldev, Krishna married Rukmini. Rukmini was a daughter of King Bhishmak, ruler of the province known as Vidarbha. Just as Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, Vasudev, Rukmini is the daughter, supreme goddess of fortune, Mahalakshmi. According to the authority of Chaitanya Charitamrita, the expansion of Krishna and that of Srimati Radharani are simultaneous. Krishna expands himself into various Vishnu Tattva forms, and Srimati Radharani expands herself into various Shakti Tattva forms by her internal potency as multi forms of goddess of fortune. So the gopis are expansions of Radharani. The cowherd boys are expansions of who? The Gopas.
Krishna, expansion of Krishna, like Abhimanyu was expansion of Krishna.
But they are all Vishnu Tattvas. Or no, maybe not, right? So, like Sridham, like all the gopis, Lalita, Vishakha, Indulekha, they are all expansions of
Radharani.
Radharani, right? So, but they are not, they are Shakti Tattva. So these are all Vishnu Tattvas then. Explain various Shakti Tattva, not sure. Okay, according to Vedic convention, there are 8 kinds of marriages. In the first class marriage system, the parents of bride and bridegroom arrange the marriage date. What's the time? 8:28, okay. Then in royal style, so settled marriage. Then in royal style, the bridegroom goes to the house of the bride and in the presence of brahmanas, priests and relatives, the bride is given in charity to the bridegroom. Besides this, there are other systems such as Gandharva and Rakshasa marriages. Krishna married Rukmini according to the Rakshasa system, kidnapping her in the presence of his many rivals like Shishupal, Jarasandha and Shalva. While Rukmini was being given in charity to Shishupal, Krishna snatched her from the marriage arena, exactly as Garuda snatched a pot of nectar from the demigods. So right in front of everybody, Krishna snatched. It's like what they say. The tiger takes his, something like a tiger, or they take away the animal from all the wolves and something like that. Rukmini, the only daughter of King Bhishmak, was exquisitely beautiful. She was so beautiful that the kings fell from their horses and their elephants, seeing the beauty of Rukmini. It is described in Bhagavatam and Krishna book. She was known as Ruchiranan, which means one who has a beautiful face expanded like a lotus flower. So of course they are all like, they're Krishna's consorts, so how can they not be beautiful? I'll just read this one paragraph and stop. Devotees of Krishna are always eager to hear about the transcendental activities of the Lord. His activities of fighting, kidnapping and running away from the battlefield are all transcendental, being on the absolute platform. And devotees take a transcendental interest in hearing of them. So more you like to hear about Krishna, Krishna's message and all this, and how to advance in Krishna consciousness, that means you are good. You are making spiritual advancement. You have a desire to make spiritual advancement like that. And that's the more we take interest in hearing about Krishna. That's a sign of how much advanced we are. The pure devotee does not make the distinction that some activities of the Lord should be heard and others avoided. There is, however, a class of so-called devotees known as Prakrita Sahajiyas who are very much interested in hearing about Krishna's Ras Lila with the gopis, but not about his fighting with his enemies. They do not know that his bellicose activities and his friendly activities with the gopis are equally transcendental. So his bellicose means his fighting activities and his friendly activities with the gopis are equally being on the absolute platform. All the transcendental pastimes of Krishna described in Shivan Bhagavatam are relished by pure devotees through submissive oral reception. They do not reject even a drop. Okay, so we'll read about Krishna's marriage. We can have our own favorite pastime, but everything should be accepted. That's basically saying. So Bhagavatam has everything. Becoming detached and also attachment to Krishna. Everything should be accepted. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much for joining us today.